Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. The 2026 boa breeding season is just around the corner and I'm going to be pairing up my animals in just a couple weeks. Today I wanted to show you guys some of my Suriname females who may go into breeding trials this year. And this is a follow-up video to a video I did about my Suriname males that I'm planning on breeding or possibly breeding in 2026. So today I wanted to show you guys some of the female boas that are going to be potentially paired up with those male Surinames, and you can tell me which ones of these are your favorites, as well as which ones would you like to see paired with which males. So if you missed that video about the males, I'll post a link to it. You can go check that one out. But please comment below if you like any of these lovely ladies in particular, or you'd like to see them paired up with any of my particular beautiful stud male Suriname breeders. And I thought I'd start off with this one. This is a viewer favorite. This one is a boa that I call Freckles. I did a segment of my Meet My Boa series on her. And whenever I post pics of her on social media, they get a lot of positive comments and likes. And this is a 2016 Picasso bloodline Suriname, born here. And she just looked a little bit different from the other animals in the litter based on her color and pattern. Thought she had some really good potential and held her back. And she actually produced her first litter a couple years ago in 2024. And she's ready to go for hopefully her second litter. She's a pretty big girl, about 7 feet or so, quite robust and muscular, as you can tell. Right now she's actually really well prepared for breeding, and can't let her get away there. She's really well prepared for breeding. She's been getting a lot of food lately. You can tell she looks a little chunky, which is how I like my females to look before they go into breeding trials, because she's not going to eat that much for about 6 months. She's not going to eat at all for about 3 months, and then limited feeding for at least 3 months, maybe longer. So want her to have a lot of energy to put in those babies. But she's a beautiful animal, really the epitome of a true reptile. And I imagine she's going to be paired up with one of my males. Just let me know which one you think should be the lucky guy. Next, we have another Picasso bloodline Suriname red-tailed boa female, born here. This one was born in 2014, actually from my first litter of Surinames. She's actually a full sibling to Freckles, who we just saw, but from an earlier litter. And her name is Piper. And Piper actually went to a friend of mine when she was a baby, but then a few years later he got out of boas. So she came back to my facility, and I've had her ever since. And beautiful animal, another really big, really robust true red tail. She's a proven breeder, had a really nice litter a couple of years ago. I think she may have had 2 litters actually, one litter 2 years before that in 2022. And I always give my females a year off in between litters. And so, but she's ready to go. She's put back on the size and the weight, and should make a really nice litter with one of my beautiful males. And you can see she's moving around. And incidentally, I am rearranging my snake room, and hopefully I'm going to have a better area to film these videos that has more space in another couple weeks if I get to it. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, this is Piper, beautiful 2014 Picasso bloodline Suriname, ready to go for 2026 boa breeding trials. Next, a boa that was not born here. This is a 2014 female that I call Little Mama. Actually, I did a Meet My Boas segment on her as well. And she was produced by Russell LaFleur in 2014. I believe he had some wild caught and maybe some Fudo bloodline, although don't quote me on that. I know that there might have been some wild caught bloodline that went into her. But she is a smaller animal. You can see she's about maybe 5 feet long. Sometimes I refer to her as my dwarf Suriname, although technically she's not really a true dwarf. And I bred her the first time back in 2024 with Mr. Pink, another really popular animal who is also quite small for his age. He's really actually a little bit smaller than she is, so I think those babies are probably going to be on the smaller side. But I don't think I'm going to pair her up again with Mr. Pink, but we'll see. But just a really cool animal, beautiful colors, beautiful markings, Quite robust, very food aggressive. I have to be careful when I'm feeding her because she really goes for the rat. But just a really cool animal, and hopefully she should have a nice litter in 2026. And maybe pass on those small red tail genes for those of you who want a true red tail but aren't prepared for a snake that can get to the 7-foot range or so. Anyway, this is Little Mama, beautiful LaFleur bloodline Suriname true red tail boa. And our next contestant on the red tail is right is this one. This is a female born in 2014, produced by Matthew Blackburn. And actually I believe he was using wild caught and Fudo bloodlines. And this one, and this female, I don't have a name for her, I just call her my Blackburn female. But she's a proven breeder, had a couple litters previously. Nice animal, a little bit on the darker side, but really nice contrast and markings. And actually I had her paired up last year, but she didn't produce a litter. Maybe there just wasn't the right chemistry with that particular male. So we'll have to see, maybe I'll try her with a different male this year, see what happens. But nice looking animal. This is my 2014 Matthew Blackburn produced boa. Actually, I did a trade with him after I had my first litter of true red tails. I traded him one of them for this girl, and she's been really good for my breeding group. A beautiful animal. Hopefully we should have some babies from her in 2026. Next, another proven female. This is one I just call my Promo 2016 litter female number 2. I have to think of a good name for her. But this is a proven female from my litter produced by Prometheus in 2016. Full sibling to son of Prometheus and Prometheus Jr., who you may have seen in the other video. You can probably see the family resemblance. And this one is also a proven breeder. Had a litter back in 2024, really nice litter. And she's ready to go again. So just like the other animals from this bloodline, she's got kind of a darker, dirtier looking pattern. What I would expect from an animal in the wild rather than a really clean, highly bred boa that's been just had all the color and pattern kind of bred out of it. Very high contrast. But just nice looking example of a true red tail boa from Suriname. Also quite robust and muscular. So really nice example of a true red tail. And hopefully we'll have some babies from this one in 2026. Again, this is my Prometheus 2016 female number 2. So those 5 females are all ready to go. Most of them are proven breeders. In fact, I think they all are proven breeders. And so those 5 will most likely be going into breeding trials. But I want to show you a couple more animals that are probably not, in fact, I know they're not going to go in this year, but they're almost ready, maybe next year. And the first is this one. This is a 2017 Prometheus bloodline. This is the second of 2 litters sired by Prometheus himself before he passed away. And I was really hoping this female would be ready this year. Unfortunately, she's not. And since this animal is now 8 years old, you think she'd be ready to breed. But, you know, they all grow and develop at their own pace, and some of them are just not quite ready. And she's not quite ready, just based on her size. And more concerningly, it's her feeding habits. And this animal, for whatever reason, is super picky about eating. And it's really kind of frustrating because I'll give her a rat or quail or whatever rodent, and she attacks it with gusto and constricts, but then she just doesn't eat it. And then I go back and do it again. She does it again and doesn't eat it. And I'll do this like 4 or 5 times sometimes, and then I just kind of give up. And she does this about 50% of the time. So in order to get her ready for breeding, I'd like to see her eat about every 2 weeks or so for a couple months. But she just spits the food out. And she does eat it occasionally, but this last year she only ate about, at most, once a month. It was more like, in some cases, she skipped like 5 weeks between meals. You know, she just wouldn't eat it. And it's just really frustrating. So this one is not quite ready. I really like the colors and the pattern on this one. This is a different female from my 2016 litter with Prometheus. But, you know, like I said, she's just not quite ready. And so we'll have to see. Maybe I can get her into a better feeding rhythm in 2026 and she can go into breeding for 2027. If not, you know, she's a nice, beautiful animal to look at. I don't want to risk any of my animals when I breed them. Breeding itself is already risky enough, even if everything's perfect. So I'm not going to take an animal like this that's not quite ready into breeding trials. So this is one that's maybe for 27, but not quite ready for the 2026 breeding season. One more female Suriname that's not quite ready for breeding in 2026. This is a 2020 born female from a Prometheus line animal crossed with a Picasso bloodline animal, one of my first pairings that involved both of those bloodlines. And she is now 5.5 years old. Kind of borderline, you know, some people might breed a boa like this. They probably would have fed her more to get her a little bigger. But personally, I like to grow them a little more slowly, and my Surinames typically don't go into breeding until they're about 6.5 years old. So this female probably will be ready next year. I'd say she's about 5.5 feet or so, but doesn't quite have the thickness or the robust muscularity that I really like to see in my adult breeder Surinames. And it's possible I could breed her this year and I might have a smaller litter, but then it might kind of stunt her. But I would much rather just, you know, really get her up to a more reasonable size over the next year, and then she can go into breeding trials in the fall of 2026 and hopefully have her first litter in 2027. Again, this is a 2020 born animal. I don't have a name for her either. I just call her female number 1. Maybe you guys can suggest a name. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at these beautiful Suriname true red tails, many of which are going into breeding trials. Let me know in the comments which are your favorites, which ones you'd like to see breed. And then if you watched my video on the potential male breeders, let me know which one you'd like to see with each of these males. What is your dream pairing of true red-tailed boas out of my boa breeding colony? Hope you enjoyed the video. Reach out to me with any questions or comments you have. Thanks for watching and enjoy your boas.